Hi, this is Jeff Lesher with What's the Point? And I am broadcasting from this interesting angle to make a very important statement about distance. The expanse of my desk and the expanse of this tape measure is 6 feet. 6 feet is the distance from which we are supposed to be keeping from one another. It's a long way. It's a long way. Now, I dramatize this to make this simple point, which is we are, hopefully, within a couple of weeks of re-entry for many of us into what we used to experience as a normal work environment. And we are not prepared for re-entry, which is phase one of what will likely be at least a 3-phase process. Re-entry, how we go back to work. Recovery, how we get back to a level of productivity, profitability, and otherwise that is healthy for the business in the near term. And then taking this opportunity to reinvent, to become the business that we were meant to be moving forward, accelerated by the circumstances that we are experiencing and surviving now. But let's focus today just on re-entry. So in addition to preparing a safe workspace, literally, so one in which we can keep an appropriate distance from one another, in which we need to appropriately wear masks, use hand sanitizer, be otherwise vigilant for the organization to make sure that the space is clean regularly, especially if it's using cleaning solutions that merely kill germs until somebody leaves more contaminants behind, versus potentially using antimicrobials which will continue to disinfect on their own. So that all that becomes very complicated. But what about, that's the biology, if you will, what about the psychology? How do we help people feel safe upon reentry so they can focus on their work? What if they've been working this whole time and maybe feel that they've been put at some risk by their employer? What if there's a group within the organization that feels more loyal or connected to leadership and one that feels less so? Do they have some sort of fracture that needs to be healed, acknowledged, addressed, etc.? So again, lots of complexities here. And it starts with what people are actually thinking and feeling, which we don't know unless or until we ask. So partly because this is the work that we do, and partly because it's a really smart thing to do, you need to have an organized, thoughtful, intentional way to find out where your people are. That's usually best done, at least initially, through a survey. And we can help you with that if you want, but if you make this less complicated than that, just to think through, what are the things that you want to know about? What are important to people? What are they uncertain about? Where do they have questions or fears? And then that allows you to do 2 really important things. Ask more questions. Surveys are not as much about giving you the answer as informing the next inquiry that you want to engage in. And then framing what you are able to do in the context of what they've just told you is important to them. Reentry, recovery, reinvention. We got to start with getting people back focused and effective. And the best way to start that process is to find out what is going on with your people, learn more about it through having conversation with them, and then agree on where you are in order to settle things down to enable the highest level of performance. When people feel that things are being done with them as opposed to them, when you socialize your solutions and engage people in the process of understanding and acceptance, you break down barriers that may otherwise exist. So try to recognize and appreciate that not everybody is responding or will respond to these opportunities the same, and that you have the opportunity to influence, if not control, how they feel and therefore how they think, therefore what they say, and ultimately what they do. Because what they do is going to be absolutely the point when it comes first to reentry and ultimately to recovery and reinvention. And we'll talk about those things more later, but for now, stick with the point, ask your people what's going on for them, what's important to them, what they're worried about, and take it from there, because that's the point.